Root Family Medicine. All the gang is here. Today we're going to be demonstrating what we call the baking soda test, which is a test for stomach acid. And we think a lot about too much stomach acid. We see a lot of commercials about medicines for heartburn, and we hear a lot about heartburn and too much acid, but today we're going to do a test that looks to see if you have low acid.
Okay, so we have a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda in each glass, and we're going to add 8 ounces of water.
So what we're going to do here is once all the glasses are poured, we're going to actually chug this water with baking soda in it. And after we drink it, we're going to start a timer. And we'll explain all of why we're doing this in a second. All right. And this is something you can do at home, so.
Is it better doing it at a different time of the day or any time of the
day
or on an empty stomach? Or
empty stomach is best. Probably the best time is first thing in the morning. Just wake up. If you're doing this test, it's probably better to do it a couple days in a row. I mean, you can do it for 5-10 days, but I usually tell people like 3 to 4 just to make sure if you do it once and you get a result that may not be accurate. So a couple days just to see if it's consistent. All right.
It's also known as the burp test. So that's actually what we're looking for when we drink this. Cheers.
Cheers. So we're going to start our timer. And while all of this is percolating, we'll answer some questions about why we're doing this burp test. Which I'm sure you're wondering.
We'll start there. Why?
Why burp test? So why we're looking at stomach acid is, when you think about the components of digestion.
it already happened?
Whoop!
7 seconds.
Woohoo!
I got a little one.
Good job. When we're thinking of all the components of digestion, there's a lot of steps that are happening. Nice
18
job,
seconds.
Dr. Lee. I'm gonna do the last one here. And even starting with like thinking about food, chewing food, you get your salivary juices flowing. And then when the food goes into your stomach, basically all of those triggers are telling your stomach to kind of make more acid. It's normal to have an acidic environment. So we want to know about this component of digestion to see, is your stomach at the right acidity? Is it ready to digest?
Yeah, I can feel it just hanging on right here. There's like it wants to burp, but
Yeah.
it's not a burp.
A little like
happening.
effervescence, but I haven't had like a good one yet.
What happens if you don't burp within the test time? What is the test time?
We're looking for a burp within 5 minutes. And so what happens is the baking soda is reacting with the acid, and that's creating the gas so that you burp. So if you don't burp in time, it means you have low stomach acid. So actually this is not an accurate test if you're on antacids. So if you're taking antacids, you really need to be off them for a full 2 weeks, off anything like Zantac or Prilosec kind of medications. If you took a Tums yesterday, it's fine. But those kind of medications, you need to be off them so that we know what your baseline stomach acid is. So if you don't have enough stomach acid, then sometimes you're not digesting your food well, and it can cause all kinds of symptoms like gas and bloating, because bigger particles are getting down into your intestines and getting fermented than they should. They should have been completely broken down by the stomach acid in your stomach. And you can even have reflux that's actually a low stomach acid reflux, because the problem with reflux is not that necessarily that you have too much acid, it's just that the acid's in the wrong place. You get the acid up into your esophagus. Do we get that?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
very
I heard
cool.
He just
I
keeps
heard
going
one.
for days.
And one thing that can cause that is the food sitting in your stomach. So if you have low stomach acid, it's not digesting and moving through as fast as it should be. So if it's sitting there in your stomach, it can reflux up. It's still more acidy than your esophagus likes, even though it's technically like not enough stomach acid.
The other thing we think about is flora imbalance, and so there's a lot of talk about the microbiome and the gut flora. A lot of people are taking probiotics now, and one of the things that can throw the flora out of whack is having low stomach acid. So if the acid is not killing off the non-beneficial bacteria as you're kind of putting things in your mouth, there's tons of microbes everywhere, that acid really actually kills off bad bacteria. And so if that's kind of floating downstream, that can also cause imbalance of the gut.
Yeah, and these are things now that, people were just put on antacids for years thinking, oh, they're fine, it's no problem. And now we're finding, people have higher rates of infection because that bacteria is not getting killed in your stomach. People have higher rates of osteoporosis and vitamin B12 deficiency because those nutrients need to get broken down so that they can get absorbed. So not having enough stomach acid then becomes a problem.
We're at 3.5 minutes.
Nicely done. I think I ate too recently to get a good burp.
Yeah, we're not doing a perfect test. It's not on an empty stomach.
We had late brunch at my house. What do you do if you don't burp? What next? I have low stomach acid. What's the next step? What do I do to fix that in a more natural way?
I would start with bitters. Herbal bitters are just one of the best natural things that you can do to stimulate your body to produce more of its own stomach acid.
Yeah, the other thing to think about is the stress component. We know that stress kind of affects every body system, but when we're thinking about digestion, if you're in that constant like fight and flight mode, you're not putting any energy into your rest and digest mode. And so, part of that, like, hey, it's time to digest now is not being in fight and flight. So doing some stress management practices can help too.
Yeah, and some people do a little bit of a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar in a little bit of water before meals. Sometimes that helps.
Or a little lemon, just even squeeze lemon. Keep it simple.
All right.
Yes! Man, all right, I have 5 seconds. Come on. Wah, wah. It's all right. See, it's not the end of the world.
5-minute mark.
I'm going to go take some bitters.
All right, thanks for joining us. I hope that information was helpful. Give it a shot.